Hi guys, this is my recap and review for Sister Wives Season 16, Episode 13, The One-on-One Part 3, the final episode of the season. And the entire episode is dedicated to Kody and Christine's split. The show begins with the clip we've all seen like a million times in the previews, where Christine tells the host Suki she and Kody are divorced and that they will just be friends eventually. Keyword eventually, which is probably code for things are kind of bad between us right now. Kody says he's struggling with grief and anger about the relationship, and just something he keeps mentioning throughout the episode. Robin's opinion about the whole thing, which actually I was wondering what she was going to say about it. She says it's such a waste and she completely thinks that they could have figured this out, and goes on about how this changes her big picture. She goes on that she doesn't know how you can give up when you haven't tried, and that she's devastated by Christine's choice, without really pointing any blame or anything on Kody, which is somewhat predictable. I don't think that Robin and Christine ever got too close. The host tells Kody there's a lot to unpack here, and Kody says, more than I want to. Then they play a bunch of Kody's worst moments of the season and they all watch it. The clips are strung together, including the one where he says he doesn't give a you-know-what anymore, a bunch of freakouts in his confessionals, etc. If I was Kody, I'd probably hide under a chair or something embarrassed. And this is his face while watching that. I mean, it was a bad highlight reel for sure. And I thought he was gonna say, wow, what was I thinking? I was being an ass. And instead he says, that sums up what I feel today still. So there you go. He still doesn't give a you-know-what. Then they show the whole debacle about Christine wanting to move to Utah, where it's clear that Kody seemed kind of okay with the idea when they talked via Zoom, but then he flip-flopped on Coyote Pass. But Kody doesn't notice that part. He seems to be taken aback by the fact that Christine said she couldn't do marriage with him anymore. He had no idea she had said that to Mary. He had just heard rumors from the kids. Robin seems to judge the fact that Christine was so open on camera, because in this part of the season, Christine was opening up a bit more in the confessional. Robin says it's one thing to say that in your room, but another to say that on camera. But I mean, I'm proud of Christine for speaking up and being transparent in her confessionals. Christine says that she was this bubbly, yes, high energy person for so long, and I remember in their marriage, and one day her dad asked her, when are you going to start saying no? And when she embraced that a bit more, I guess setting boundaries or whatever we'd call that, Kody didn't know what to do and things really took a turn. The host confronts Kody with this that Christine said. So I'm guessing Kody was interviewed last, and he says he fundamentally disagrees with what Christine said, and then he actually says, I'm going to ask you now to stop talking about Christine. And I think they cut the cameras, and it looks like he came back and regained his composure, but it was kind of an odd moment. Then they jumped into intimacy, which is literally and ironically the last topic of the whole season 16, something the family would have never talked about in earlier seasons. They avoided conversations about intimacy like the plague. Kody alleges that he never said that he was never going to be intimate with Christine again, but he didn't want to be intimate because he thought Christine was betraying him. I don't know, seems like there's so much miscommunication and things left unsaid, let's say. Kody later says that he never had a frank conversation with Christine because he didn't want her to leave, which is ironic. Then the host asks, did you ever tell her that you didn't want her to leave? And there's a long pause and he says no. Christine says that in the last few years, he just wasn't interested in intimacy with her. Kody kind of alludes to being intimate as a duty, which is horrible. And Christine just says, if he comes into my room and doesn't want to be there, I don't want him there. Amen. I mean, I can completely understand that. It's just not fair. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this whole season. It was so nice to recap and review everything. If you like my content, please don't forget to subscribe, and if you like this video, please give it a like, and I will continue making Sister Wives content, obviously. Bye guys!